Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Wednesday. Happy Friday. What the hell am I? Happy Friday. Happy Valentine's Day to all you people out there. Hope everyone's having a good day. It is Friday. It is time for the weekend. Hold on, put this thing up here. Here we go. Time for the weekend. And you know what? We're going to be Veggies, be quiet. Don't start today. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on with the coaching stuff. Obviously, Texas is in a coaching search at this moment. They just added in a coach. I mean, when we put a ribbon and bow on this show yesterday, we were like, "Look, Texas hired a new coach. Talk about coaching continuity. This is great." And literally, just a few hours later, maybe even an hour later, it wasn't long. Next thing you know, Tashard Choice is going. I'm like, what? But I thought we was good. So anyway, we'll dive in a little bit into that. I'll tell you some of the things that I do know as relates to that. We'll kind of get into that. So let me just retweet this thing out. Hope everybody's doing good though. It's a Friday. Don't even worry about the Valentine's thing. It's just a Friday. It's a good day. But yeah, hold on. Let me retweet this thing. My internet's slow. I apologize for that. It's Spectrum, but it's on me because I need now. That's how I need to dump on Valentine's Day. Spectrum. That is exactly who I need to dump. All right, let me retweet this thing out so people know I'm doing the show, and let's get into it. So it was all good just a day ago. We literally thought we was out of the clear, right? We literally told ourselves, got a coach, we're done. Then the Tashard Choice says, you know what? See, I'm good. So you're like, wait, you're good. So as you guys already know, obviously Tashard Choice leaves and takes a job with the Detroit Lions. And I'll get into some of those things there. Obviously, you guys know I used to work in Detroit. I love the city of Detroit. So, not a bad city to live in, contrary to the popular belief. But we'd much rather have him living in Austin, if we're just being quite honest with you. We'd much rather have him here in Austin. And it's interesting because and happy Valentine's Day to you, Catherine, as well. Hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you here in a while, but it's good to see you as well. And Money B was always first in the building. It was interesting because when just a couple of weeks ago, when Tashard Choice interviews at Dallas, there was definitely some worry behind the scenes about the potential that he might go there, right? And for right reasons. And so he does the interview, but then he gets the pay bump as a result of the interview. Ain't nothing wrong with making that bread. There ain't nothing wrong with making that bread, Catherine. I hope you're doing well and the family's doing well as well. So you said MGM Detroit robbed us and they charged us for drinks. I did my trip to Detroit last summer for the UM game. MGM robbed us and they charged us for drinks. How do they do both? Tell me, what happened at the MGM? Like, what happened there? What happened there? You gotta tell us that. Yeah, give us a little bit more. Anyway, so there was definitely some word behind the scenes, right? So what happens? He comes back, he interviews on a Saturday. By Sunday, Tashard Choice is got a pay bump. He's at $800,000, and everyone's thinking this is good. And look, we're all thinking that's part of the game, right? The part of the game is you go out, you interview, and then if the company really wants to keep you, they either match or they exceed, right? I mean, we all do this in our companies, in our business worlds. And if they don't match or exceed, then you bounce and you go somewhere else, right? So that's kind of how that thing happens. So we thought, you, me, everybody, we thought, all right, we're good. Tashard Choice is good. He got the pay raise. He's good. Done. And then what had happened was he's like, hey man, I I'm gonna go to Detroit, and he's out. Now, I'll give you some behind the scenes stuff. I'll give you some behind the scenes stuff as relates to that. So let's dig deeper into this situation and what happened behind the scenes. I got you. So everybody kind of behind the scenes knew. I'm just reading Ben G. I feel bad. I'm not laughing at you, but I'm reading. The slots machines are rigged. Okay, wait a second. Well, of course, slots machines are rigged. Okay, but the surprising thing was the drinks for two people. It was like 24. Ben. It was wait. Ben, hold on, Ben. It was that's normal. What do you mean? Like that's not out of the ordinary. No. That's normal drink prices, man. When's the last time you been out? That's a lot. No, that's just about no. I know what you're thinking. Vegas, they give it, they kind of comp it. That's no. Oh, no, I thought you meant you got like really robbed. Like, that's okay. So, and I didn't see the Stan Drayton thing. Is that true? There, the Stan Drayton. That it's so obscure. By the way, Drayton was not a candidate here anyway. But let me see if that is. Yeah, Penn State. That's an interesting one. All right, thank you, Catherine. I've been trying to prep for the show, and so I knew he was a candidate. I didn't know that he actually was going to probably take that job. But we'll get into Stan Drayton in a second. So, but thank you, Catherine. See, don't leave me. See what happens. He helped out the show. So I had to obviously inquire as to like what had happened. So there's a couple of things that happened. One of the things that I thought was interesting that I was told as relates to one of the reasons why he was going to why he wanted to take that job is that he wanted a larger role in the game planning and putting together of an offense. And I had an NFL source tell me this. NFL source obviously I worked in Detroit, right? So, so anyway, they said he wanted a larger role in the game planning and be able to help to put together the offense. He also wanted to work with the offensive line. I think the biggest thing for him, and I've heard this over the past couple of weeks, is that he really has aspirations to become a head coach. And a lot of these guys do, but he really does have these aspirations to become a head coach. And so because he's got these aspirations to become a head coach, he wants to get more involved with the play calling and more of the game planning and all those kind of things. And from his point of view, he didn't feel like that was going to happen here, which is why, he pretty much his search continued even after the pay bump. So I didn't hear it was anything related to recruiting or anything to that effect. NIL, he doesn't want to be a part of it. He just basically saying like this is what he wants to do to kind of further his career, which is interesting because in many ways I feel like Tashard Choice could probably have been an OC maybe in the next couple of years. But if he sees a path there in the NFL, so be it. I think the tricky thing, I'll be honest with y'all, the tricky thing about the NFL is that when the people in the NFL see you as this is your role and that's it, you don't really get promoted that often. That's just how the NFL goes. And so, I said this, I think it was on the modcast, and Alex can agree. Like you go to the Senior Bowl. And it's like every year you see a coach, but he's just wearing like a new logo for another team. And I know guys who've been doing the same thing, defensive line coaches, receivers coaches, all those kind of things. So, he has to be careful because if he stays there in that position too long, they're just going to say you're a running backs coach. But you got to take a gamble on yourself. So he decides to take a gamble on himself. Now, here's the really interesting portion of it. There's a lot of interesting things, I think. But here's a really interesting portion. And Ben G comes in. Before I get to the interesting portion, Ben G comes in and says, Happy Valentine's Day, Anwar, from the chat. Ben G representing the chat for Valentine's Day. Well, thank you, Ben G. I absolutely appreciate that. Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys as well. Hope you guys are having a good one. Don't be down in the press if you didn't got a Valentine or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Go out there, do something nice for yourself. Okay. This is not a day to be depressed. You are on this earth, you're walking and you're breathing. So that's a day to celebrate. So happy Valentine's Day. Ain't nobody loving you, love yourself. Ain't gonna nobody gonna love you like you. So happy Valentine's Day. Oh, get yourself some Uber Eats. Uber eat yourself some a nice meal today and enjoy yourself. You don't want to be out in the restaurants looking at the couples and stuff. They don't like each other. No way. Don't even worry about that. So here was an interesting thing, and thank you, Benji. Here's a really interesting portion of it. It's like this dramatic buildup. So that Tashard Choice had a buyout that not everyone really thought an NFL team was going to pay. And Tashard Choice's buyout, Detroit wanted Tashard Choice so much that they paid his $850,000 buyout for him to join the Lions. I'll say that one more time. One more again, especially for those who were sitting in the back. Detroit paid $850,000 to get Tashard Choice on their staff. Now, at that point, talk about show me the love. Oh, Detroit was showing Tashard Choice the love. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were absolutely down for the cause. And so that ended up being something that ends up moving the needle as well. And behind the scenes, while there's not a sense of panic at this moment, by the way, wait. If you're depressed, order dinner and drinks for two at the table. No, don't do that. Mom, I spit out my water. You know which ones are miserable. You know, yeah, we all been at those Valentine's Day dinners. Well, you don't really like that person. Come on. Some of y'all been divorced and stuff like that. You just doing it, trying to have a good time. Don't worry about it. They miserable. They be single. They'll be back on the single market in a little bit. Y'all don't worry about it. No, I'm just joking. There's a sense of loss though behind the scenes though, because he was really a really good recruiter. Really key for them in the state of Georgia. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but really key in the state of Georgia, being able to kind of go in there and navigate that landscape and really be able to help them get some key targets within that state. So they lose somebody who they view as not only a good coach, but a really, really good recruiter as well. So, it's huge. And it's a different view than when they lost Blake Gideon. Like they lost Blake Gideon, but they felt like, okay, we might be able to find something that's okay. Like we feel like we could be all right. But the panic was Tashard. Now it happens, and then now you double back to people, and it happens, and everybody trying to act cool. Like, yeah, and I'm like, nah, I remember what y'all said for Dallas. I remember what y'all told me, and when it relates to Dallas, that okay, you guys were worried you didn't want to lose him, and you had a sense of relief, and so now Sark has to kind of start that process. But where does it start? Well, honestly, where are we now? Honestly, he's at the point now with behind the scenes as they're going through this. It's Sark, it's Brandon Harris, it's a group of people. Jeff Banks, kind of the people who are kind of in the inner circle decision making. There's some other people as well. It's early in the process. I told you before, Sark has a list, but that list also entails when you have your list of stuff, right? You still got to have people researching like buyouts, like we just talked about, like what would Texas pay? What would Texas be willing to pay? Like you've got to figure those things out. There's also people, you're seeing like some coaching movement and stuff. And I said some people, it's in February and March as well. I think last time I said it was March, but there's also some things in February where depending on the contract, the buyout kind of goes down potentially for certain people each in the February time or a March time, something to that effect. So That's why you start to see some coaching movement for some people. The buyouts went down. Now that's not the case in Tashard Choice. 850 is 850, and Detroit got it. You know where they got it? They got it from Ben G. I'm sorry, Ben G. Like, how did they raise that money? How did they raise that money? It was they took it. They took his and when Benji was in Detroit, that's how they raised the money for Detroit. You contributed, Benji. So sorry you had a bad time in Detroit, man. Didn't get robbed though. You can, let me tell you, you could get really, really robbed in Detroit. True story. Sidebar for a second. It's Fun Friday. Don't just allow me to indulge. So when I lived in Detroit, I was looking for a house. I was going to maybe I thought, well, I'm going to live there for a long time. So I was looking for a house, right? And that was back when the houses were affordable, right? So it wasn't like anything crazy. And I had a realtor, and she's driving me around the area, and I was like, I'm going to live in like Detroit, right? I don't live in the suburb. I'm going to live in Detroit. And she's driving around, and she's like, she points to this area, and she's like, oh yeah, so this is where I got carjacked. And I'm like, pause, what? And she's like, yeah, they carjacked me, put a gun to my, like literally, I'm listening to her. She put a gun to her head, that guy she's living, right? Had her drive, so on and so forth. And then they, dropped her off. And then this is before, I don't want to get too political, but she told me she called the police, and the Detroit police said, are they still there? And she was like, no. And they told her, okay, good. Well, your life is not in jeopardy. And it took her, she said she had to call from every day for about 5 days to even get a report done. It really kind of killed the mood for the area I was thinking about moving to. I ain't gonna lie. And she probably, I appreciate her honesty, right? But probably wasn't the best sale job. Anyway, that's robbed in Detroit. They also robbed the pastor too. So there's a lot in there. Where the hell was I? Okay, so he's at the point where they're working on a list of candidates, putting that together. I even checked in with some folks this morning just to see where that thing stood. And in fact, I asked someone. I don't know if they responded to. Hold on, let me ask this question. I asked one question, but they responded to something else. Sometimes you ask somebody two questions. I just go ahead and keep checked in with something. So what I was told is like, hey, we're still working on it, still working on the list. Sark is still working on his list and trying to figure out what he wants to do. So, I'm trying to get a gauge of the sense of urgency here. I mean, there was a sense of urgency with Gideon. I'm not quite sure what this is with Trust. There needs to be, if you're going to have guys, and you don't want to lose these running backs who are in this class. So there needs to be some sort of sense of urgency that comes in, and it's hard. Like this is a hard guy to replace because, like I said, they felt like with Gideon, they can kind of maybe do good, maybe upgrade, something to that effect. But when it comes to Tashard Choice, it is hard to upgrade. And thank you to Catherine who points out the stuff with Stan Drayton. Now, the thing about Stan Drayton which was interesting, is that he wasn't that high on the list anyway, if I'm just being honest with you. He's viewed as a guy who's a good coach, not necessarily the strongest recruiter. And I know I had a back and forth with someone yesterday about this. It was a former athlete who was like, what about Bijan and Roshan, which, by the way, Roshan was a quarterback, and why, Jonathan Brooks and all these other guys. I'm like, yeah, but behind the scenes, it was kind of viewed that a lot of other people did some of the heavy lifting, and then Stan kind of just comes in on the back end and kind of closes the deal kind of thing. So he was never really a strong candidate. People have asked me about Rashad Samples. I think he makes a lot of sense, but I'm not led to believe that for whatever reasons, he's that high on the list at this moment. Again, things may change, so on and so forth. Thinking about Rashad is like, No, 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 no. Yeah. Hold on. People. Okay. Sorry. I'm being your local your local poor man's version of Adam Schefter at this moment as I'm like texting during the show. So don't trust me. This is all work related. That's going on down over here. It's all work related. Not doing any arguments or anything like that. Um So those two guys, who the obvious choices, are kind of off, and so now we just got to see where I don't. I can tell you right now, just be honest with you, I don't know what directions Sark is headed in as relates to this hire, and I don't know if he's going to go college or NFL or anything to that effect. But he will have to find a guy that does move the needle with recruits. Like this may be a position that they do have to pay a little bit for, because they were sitting in a good situation with these running backs prior to Tashard Choice leaving, and now you're kind of in that like danger zone. Like you don't want to panic, but look, we know Chris Jackson, and I've told this story before, but we know that Chris Jackson, when he got here, from a recruiting standpoint, Texas took a backseat for a year before they were able to rebound. And now Chris Jackson is, recruiter of the year. So, that's no problem. But, there is going to be, if you're Sark, idealistically, you don't want to have that. So, and again, Kenny Baker, not much of a drop off. And look, NIL is always the great equalizer when it's all said and done. So there is these things, but I'm looking through some of these tweets. Michael Terry talks about, if you look at one of Michael Terry's tweets, he talked about, one of the reasons he decided to come to Texas was because of, Tashard Choice. And then you see this Xavier Crowell decide that he's not going to visit Texas, which I didn't know if it needed to if you needed to announce all that. But it's again, there is that. By the way, hold on. The Green Lantern just here because it's Valentine's Day. It's a fun Friday. We're just talking about a bunch of different things. Let's see what the Green Lantern says. It goes romantic dinner advice. Go middle of the road on Valentine's Day. Go super hard on random no celebration day. You get more bang for your buck on the ordinary day than when she's not expecting. Yes, you know what, the Green Lantern. That's actually that actually is true. One of can I tell you one of my little secrets, Green Lantern? You know what would do? I would like get like flowers like a week or so before Valentine's Day. So this way she's not expecting to get it on Valentine's Day because sometimes it's more expensive during that holiday. So I would get it like a week or so beforehand. Then this way she's already got flowers that's sitting there. And then I just go ahead and slide on to something else, right? So I'm with you though. I'm with you. Or just stay single. It's better, says S Roan 45. I don't know, S Roan. Each one has its own set of challenges, doesn't it? Relationships has its set of challenges. Singleness has its set of challenges. Singleness is good because you don't have to worry about like the drama of things. But we all humans. We all kind of want to connect in some way, right? So do we want to be in our 70s on a carnival cruise by ourselves, or you want to find somebody that you got matching t-shirts with, right? You want to be like, you're doing electric slide, you got matching outfits on, like you want to do a little something. So I think there's a balance. Somewhere in there, that's wrong. But no matter what, you just gotta be happy. Everybody's married want to be single. Everyone's single want to be married. So just be happy where you're at. Again, then we started talking about like Xavier Crowell. He decided that he's not going to take his visit or anything to that effect. But when you start looking at Javion Osborne, you're looking like KJ Edwards. You're looking at two guys that Texas seemingly was in the lead for. They were that most. I talked to Jason, some talked to Catch. there was a feeling like, man, we're going to get both of these guys. And now it's now you have to see like, okay, whoever comes in, can they go ahead and knock this thing out? I'm fascinated by the chat though. Text Vaughn, she see, I like it to keep it real. Like it gets lonely, trust me. Yeah, like we all humans, we all want to feel a need to connect and have connectivity, and it's cool. Like we can talk ourselves into like, yeah, I'm an independent, yada yada yada. Um, but we all want something or someone. Like not everyone's like, I just want to be single, unless you just are jaded and been through a lot of crap, which we all have been through a lot of crap and going through a lot of things as well. Stephanie also, she said the ladies appreciate the effort. Absolutely, Stephanie. And what are you and your hubby going to do? Stephanie, I forget if Stephanie's married or not. I feel like she is though. Well, I don't know. You guys got plans? What are y'all doing for Valentine's Day? Put that in the chat. I got some more stuff for y'all to do, by the way. But what are your Valentine's Day plans? I want to know what everybody is doing today. I don't want anybody. I just don't want anybody sitting there crying and being upset about anything. I hope everyone's just be happy. We live in life and enjoy it. Um, there's another thing that was kind of interesting. So that's kind of like the end of the end of that. Somebody asked me. I feel like it was yesterday. The yesterday thing. Someone asked me about Mark Orfeh and the obviously the news, the runners, and they wanted to know what's going to be the deal as far as like him and Terry Joseph. Like, how are they dividing that thing up? And I actually thought it was a good question because it was one I hadn't thought about, but I was thinking, I would love to say I have all the answers, but I do not. And I went ahead and I had to ask around about that. And at this point, if it's been determined, it's not being communicated to me, but more what I've been told is that the main goal was to make sure that he was hired. And now, once he was hired, get him in the fold. He interviewed this past Monday in Texas, and I was told that he was always the first choice. He was always going to be the first choice. He is the guy, and it made sense. It made absolute sense. And actually, yes, Anwar with 2 R's, but there's only one. Jonathan Cook got arrested again, man. You should go to Sark and see if you let him back on the team, help a brother out, get your boy. Yeah, it's a sad story. What's happening with him? I've talked to some people about it this morning. I didn't even bother tweeting about it this morning. I feel like it's just piling on at this moment, and I don't really know where that's at. He's at the point where, counseling is not the worst thing in the world. In fact, it's a really good thing, and it's okay to just get help. And if you're getting help and you need more help, then get more help or increased help, or go into a facility if you need to, like whatever the help is that you need. So I'm just kind of at the point now as relates to the Jonte conversation. Like I'm just okay. Just the young man needs help. I mean, that's where I'm at. The young man needs help. He don't need football. He don't need another anything. He just needs to get some help, and I'm hoping that he gets there. But no opinion sports show. I know what you're doing. Like kind of pop in. You're Oklahoma fan, so I get that you want to kind of froze. All right, we're back. It froze up, and I get that you're an OU fan, and it's a good kind of pile-on thing, and I get it. Like it's all we get what the rivalry is about. But I think in this instance, though, this one's a little bit deeper, and so I think it goes to more of like the help that he needs, more so than anything football related and any kind of jokes. So, but no, all due respect, it's all good. So. So they're going to work that thing out between Joseph and it. So there's a possibility that Joseph may coach safeties, and or if they may coach cornerbacks or vice versa. So they're still working that thing out. They're still working that thing out. And then we'll in time they're going to see how that goes. But I do know behind the scenes they're really excited about him. And again, big shoes to fill as relates to Blake Gideon. And hell, there was a scare. I know there was a scare that there was a potentially was going to be another coach that may have bolted to the NFL. That doesn't seem to be a worry right now, but that was a worry earlier this week. But that seems to maybe have settled itself out. So there's been a lot of activity. Again, the good part. The good part, if you're Texas, is that you've got people and coaches that people want. Because if you really look at, unfortunately, the previous two staffs, well, it wasn't a high demand. It was not a high demand. We didn't have anybody really from Charlie Strong's staff that I can remember that got promoted on that staff to be a coordinator or a head coach at that time. Then you look at Tom Herman's staff, and you didn't necessarily have a bunch of people that, hell, he fired 7 of them after year 3. And then it brought in some other folks. And so, Stan Drayton eventually gets a head coaching job, but you didn't get that upward mobility that you're seeing here. And now you're at a point and at a place where you're starting to see guys that are getting poached. And now we're talking about first world problems, first person problems, first world problems, where your problem is you got good guys that a lot of people are wanting to get. And you got guys who are getting promoted, which is great. But the bad part is you got to replace them. And again, these are first world problems when it's all said and done. But, if you're able to do what Sark is able to do, which is, if you really look at it, there's only been one bad hire when it's all said and done. It's been one bad hire, and that was Andre Coleman. Outside of that, you got Jeff Choate, who was on the staff, and he becomes Nevada's head coach. Bo Davis makes a lateral move. Stan Drayton leaves, but he becomes the head coach at Temple now. What happened at Temple? Well, it should stay at Temple, but he still became a head coach off of Steve Sarkisian's staff, right? Blake Gideon gets moved up to become Georgia Tech's defensive coordinator. And then you've got the stuff with Choice, and he'll probably have a little bit more of a role there. So, the good part for you, if you're looking for a bright side and looking for some happiness on your Valentine's Day, that at least you've got guys who are coveted and wanted. And you got guys who probably, of the guys who are remaining, are probably going to get elevated at some point. Terry Joseph will probably become a DC at some point. Kyle Flood might be able to stay if he wants to. And then, Jeff Banks probably gets ready to stay if he wants to. But AJ Milwee, that's just a matter of time. Like, how long are you going to work under Sark? Like, AJ Milwee's time is coming, because when the Arch train takes off, and yes, Rodolfo, your curse is true. Yes, unfortunately, Jonte looks like he got arrested. At least that's what's was posted on someone's this Facebook page for this sheriff. You guys can just look it up on your own Facebook accounts and things to that effect. So anyway, the good part is you got guys who wanted, you got guys who are coveted. So that's the first world problem. The problem now is just, can you just keep replacing them and replacing them and replacing them? That's the challenge that Sark has, and that's where he's at this moment. Real quick, and I asked people what they were doing today. Tommy says he's surprising the wife with a pedal boat ride in Austin and a surprise dinner. That's nice. That's nice. Where's dinner, Tommy? Where's dinner? I like that. Now, you know what, Tommy? That's romantic. That is absolutely romantic. Oh, she gonna enjoy that. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy your night after that too. Because go ahead. Stephanie says she's going to Dallas for a hockey tournament with her 8-year-old nephew. It's so romantic. Hey, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, Stephanie. I think tonight I'm taking my son to his goalkeeper lessons. So I'm pretty sure I'll be sitting in a car with a Yeti or something like that as he's out there playing soccer, and then he has got a game tomorrow. So that's mine. That's my Valentine's Day night. So do not feel bad. I'm going to order myself something as well. That's it. And by the way, Rodolfo, stop. Stop. Tommy, yes. I didn't want to say it, but yes, Tommy, it's definitely going down. Hey, that's unique. You know what you did? You did something that was unique. You did something unique beforehand. Go ahead, make sure you bring a little blanket or something like that, and just in case it's a little chilly out there. Oh yeah, Tommy. I don't know if you guys are trying to make babies, but you'll have fun at least during the practice sessions of trying to make babies tonight. And if you do, if y'all trying, boy, tonight will be that night. Go ahead, Tommy, get you some. Um, what else? What else is going on? I think that's it, man. We don't have much else going on outside of House Divided that is coming up at noon. So y'all go out, have a good time. Happy Valentine's Day. My day, just so you know, my day consists of going to my kid. His he's got like a Valentine's Day party in first grade. So I'll be up in there with that. Like trying to avoid the germs on these these booger ass kids. So I'm gonna be up doing that. I'll be do something in the afternoon, just hanging out and then taking my kid to goalkeeper stuff. But in the meantime, I'm gonna do something special for myself. Uh, Court, he recommended some cologne, so I might go out and buy myself a nice little cologne for myself, and then be smelling all G'd up for the soccer game tomorrow. Remember, I always say, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be.